Good afternoon, good evening, hello. How's everyone doing today? Hope everything is working fine. Hey Pips Apprentice, nice and early. Hey Ted, good afternoon, how are you doing? Ted from Australia, nice to see you, how are you doing? Which part of Australia are you in? Hey Erwin, hey Diana, good morning. Hey Fanny, good to see you. Awesome, good stuff. Queensland, nice. I used to be from Perth myself. Alrighty, so before we get started, as usual, if you're new to the session, do drop a message, say hi, let me know where you're joining us from, do like what Ted just did. If you haven't already, the link for the Discord channel is there. Look forward to seeing you join us on Discord. It is absolutely free to join. And for all the regulars, big welcome back. Good to see you, have you with me on this daily market analysis. At any point in time, if you have a question, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. And if you can help me out massively, do click that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. Okay. Hey D-Train, how are you doing? So we are streaming on YouTube, on TradingView, and also on trading.live. So wherever you are joining us from, do drop a message and say hi. I'm across all platforms. Okay, good morning, David. Hey, Royal Governor, how are you doing? Good morning. So with that, a quick disclaimer, any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, and please remember that your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Okay. So anyone got any interesting trades from yesterday? Right? If you have any interesting trades, any trades you got into, whether you made money or lost money, put it into the chat, let me know. If you have any particular pairs that you'd like me to look at, put it into the chat and let me know as well. With that, I say with that quite often. Well, with that, a quick review of what happened since the last time we spoke, which was yesterday at 3 p.m. We're speaking in tomorrow at 3 p.m. But since yesterday, nothing much happened in terms of news. We had at 7 p.m. the UK CBI retail sales number was minus 36. Expected minus 30, came out at minus 11, so a lot better than expected. It was a green number. We did see on release of the news for the pound dollar, where were we? At 7 p.m. just about there, we did see that push up, but it hit that resistance and failed to break before coming back down again. Following on with that, we had ECB President Lagarde speaking, and she spoke again at the the Committee on Economic and Monetary Affairs for the European Parliament. In that scenario, at 10 p.m. Nothing much happened, right? At 10 p.m. we did see that drop, right? Probably because it did not surprise markets too much, but it was only from 1.0943 or 1.0945 down to 1.0925. So about a 20 pip drop, not super a lot. So I'm not super particular about that. And then not much else. US new home sales was 759, came out revised down to 719. New home sales dropped slightly to 679k. At this point, new home sales is not something that we pay a lot of attention to in this current climate. Okay, Through to today, early this morning, we had Aussie retail sales number was 0.9, expected 0.1, came out at a minus 0.2. At a minus 0.2. This was at 8:30 a.m. in the morning, GMT plus 8. And with that, at 8:30, you see there, right, a small spike down before continuing on with the trend to the upside for the Aussie dollar. So retail sales month to month, that's one of the reasons why I don't highlight that a lot, is because there is some impact, but it's not a very sustained impact in the long run. Following on from that, not that much else, even for now through to later. We do have a number of Eurozone numbers to be released, but the next thing to pay attention to is the consumer confidence number, 102.6, expected 101. Might see that release at 101 or maybe a bit lower, which might bring some weakness to the euro dollar, to the dollar index again. The main focus, what we're preparing, not the main focus, but what we're preparing for is the Aussie CPI number tomorrow. Aussie CPI year on year. We did see the last print in October, we did see it go from 5.2 to 5.6, right? A 0.4% jump in CPI last in October, which led to the RBA hiking rates. Now, this time round, 5.6 expected to drop down to 5.2. If that does come around, we might see some volatility in the Aussie dollar, because that's possibly going to lead to the RBA taking its foot off the gas again in terms of rate hikes. So we'll pay attention to that. I do think that it might come out a bit lower, 5.2, maybe 5.3. So it still show some Aussie weakness. I will be looking at the 9 a.m. news here on the Kiwi in terms of their rate decision, looking to hold at 5.5%. So we're looking forward to that. Most likely going to hold, most likely going to see some weakness come back around for the Kiwi dollar. Okay, and then following on from that, we do have a bunch of news, but I'll tell you more about that tomorrow during our daily analysis. So for now, the main things to pay attention to will be possibly some weakness on the dollar index later tonight, but looking at the weakness to come back into play for the Aussies and the Kiwis early tomorrow morning. Super early for many of you all, but just nice for me at 8:30 and 9 a.m. GMT plus 8. With that, let's look at the charts. But before that, quick hello to Hiker's Diary. Good morning, how are you doing? Hey Desiree, good to see you. Hey Jimmy. Jamil, where are you? No idea, we have to get Jamil back. Royal Governor asking for US yen, we'll get to that shortly. Hey Jack, good to see you. Hey Mady, good morning, how are you doing? Hey Christina, haven't seen you for a while. Good to see you. Lucky sod. Hey Spiros, how are you doing? Hey Goju, good morning. It's good to see you. All right. So now, like we were saying yesterday, dollar index, we were right at this point here. Oops. Right, we were right at this point here on the dollar index yesterday, and I was thinking that it could come down to that 103 level, or between 103 and 103.2, before bouncing back up to test that trend line and then turning back down again. It did not drop as far as I expected, right? So it came down to 103.2, did test the trend line before dropping down to almost 103. So it came to 103.075 and now bouncing back up to retest that trend line. Okay, so pay attention here is that you see that we don't have many, or we don't have much US news. right? The major one would be the consumer confidence number for the US. We do have a couple of members speaking. President Lagarde from the ECB speaking again. Pre-recorded video at the European Financial Reporting Advisory Group Conference. That's a mouthful. FOMC, a couple of FOMC members speaking. Member Barr speaking at the, no, not too worried about that. Fireside chat about Community Reinvestment Act, not too worried about that either. Member Waller, I'm just looking out for any possible, like this one, any possible talk about monetary policy. So Member Waller participating in a moderated discussion about economic outlook and monetary policy at the American Enterprise Institute. This one, 11:05 p.m. GMT +8, might bring about some volatility on the dollar index, especially if Member Waller comes out and says that outlook seems good, outlook seems strong, employment is good, we're seeing GDP being stronger, we're seeing employment being kept low. If there is any comments about rates holding at the current point, it might actually bring a bit of a spike before a drop on the dollar. Okay, why I say that is, again, this is becoming a habit, but checking the CME Fed Watch tool. Hey Wendy, how you doing? Is that you see when it loads, right, I think we were at 97 yesterday. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we were at 97 yesterday. This has dropped marginally down to 96.8 in terms of the December 13th meeting. So 96.8% chance that they're keeping rates on hold at the current level, with a 3.2% chance that they're going to hike rates. Okay, so that's relatively stable, and that's why we see the dollar index pretty much, well, dropping, but pretty much sitting around that level. So what I'm looking out for here on the dollar index, catching that peak to this bottom. Let's check a couple of levels first. All right, we have 23.6 right there. If I caught this peak down, we have 23.6 about there. Okay, what I'm looking out for is that the dollar index would have to stay below this trend line. Right, would have to stay below this trend line, and this is a very relatively strong trend line. You see that it's been support or resisted over and over and over again. So what we're looking out for is for it to stay below 103.30. Right? Why 103.30? Basically, I'm looking at that level, which is the 23.6 level, followed with that level. So within this range, we're looking for the dollar index to stay below that point, which is 103.30. Okay, so I'm looking at those points there. Take that away and that away. Okay, so what I'm looking out for right now is if the dollar bounces, it's really bouncing right now, right, hits this level and turns back down, then we're likely to see it break down, bounce and break down that 103 level to hit quite a bit lower towards 102.50. But I'm thinking whether it's going to break through. With no major news, finding a support, because this is a very strong support. Show it in H4 time frame, you see it tested in, I'm repeating myself from yesterday, but for those of you just joining us today, it's tested on the 22nd of August, bounced right back up. Again, 30th and 31st of August, tested 103 and bounce right back up. Right now it looks like it might bounce back up again. Okay, because it's tested and is bouncing right now. So the key level to watch is 103.30. So today is the 28th of November. We are watching. Watch out for 103.30 as a key level. All right, and if it breaks past that, we could see further upside, but we're looking to watch out for 103.30. Price below trend line, retest 103 support, and could hit lower. All right, how far lower? Let's have a look. Hey PM, how are you doing? Let's do this, have a quick check. I know that we have a level here at 102.50. 102.80 could be a level. Because of a lack of news, I don't see it dropping right down to 102.50. I know yesterday I deleted away 102.80, but I've put it back in again. And we could see that. Okay, so we're looking for a reaction at 103.30. If it resists and turns down, so if it resists and turns down, we could see 102.80 to 102.80. There we go. Okay, so we're watching out for price at 103.30, which is right there. If price stays below the trend line, it could retest 103 support and head lower to 102.80. If not, then it could climb to 103.60. But we'll look at some other scenarios as we look at the other pairs. Okay. D-Train for question: what's the dynamic of the prices that seems to follow a trend line? Do the whales try to buy and sell at the opposite side once the prices reaches the periphery of the trend line? Don't know what the whales are likely to do, but what you would notice is that, right, it does coincide. So I don't know about the whales and all of that, but it just looks like market forces where we have, you know, that 103.20. So this example, with the top down to here, you see 23.6 coincides with the trend line, and that's why we see that retrace back up. And that's where possibly a lot of people will possibly be looking to say, okay, it's resisted by the trend line, holding 23.6, looking for it to push back down. Okay, so that's how I would look at it. Not just the trend line alone, but I'll put in the fib levels, or you can look at you know, the RSI as well if you want. At that point, as it bounces, you can see RSI pushing back up, gets to the mid level, and that at that point, as it starts turning back down, resisted by 23.6 trend line, you see a few things coinciding. That's why we see price drop back down. And that's also why right now, with the RSI pushing back up again, you see the, and you can even catch that point as it bounces back up. You see that push right up to that trend line. And that's why I'm looking at, that's why I highlighted this area, which was made up by a confluence of 23.6 retracement levels, that trend line, and also the fib, not fib, the RSI level. So we're looking for that to hit, bounce, and turn back down. If it breaks, then we could see it trade up to about 103.60, but I would look for a more trending scenario first. Okay, we'll highlight alternative scenarios when we come across that in the charts. Good question. I hope I answered your question there, D-Train. Good morning, Angel Case. How are you doing? Okay, so looking at the Kiwi dollar, right? It did come close. So it went up, came back down pretty much as we expected, and then pushed back up again. Did not go as high as we thought to that 30 level, right? The resistance level up there. It's coming back down again. I'll take this away for now. It's coming back down to that trend line again, right? Why is it doing that? Because we're seeing that dollar strength come back into play. Remember, we do have RBNZ with their rates decision tomorrow, likely to hold at 5.5%. So what I'm actually looking out for on the Kiwi dollar, this will be a dollar strength scenario, would be if it does come back down and break below those levels. Okay. Hey Jamil, Pip's Apprentice was looking for you. How are you doing? And well, I'm looking for you as well. We're all looking for you. All right, and you see that this support level coincides with that 23.6 level. If it does break that trend line, I don't think I can, yeah. All right, if it does break that trend line, you do have a little bit of a space, a bit of a gap there between the trend line and the support level and the 23.6 level. All right, so what I would be looking for in this case with the RBNZ decision in mind is a selling opportunity, 6080, stop loss no more than 20 pips. You could even do 15, right? Take profit would come down to about almost 35 pips to the next support level to the downside. That's what I'll be looking for with the RBNZ rate decision in mind as well. So Kiwi dollar, we're looking to sell. Hey Jamil, no need to be sorry. Good that you're here. 0.6080, stop loss 15, take profit 35. We're looking at this with the RBNZ decision in mind. All right, there we go. So we're looking for that. What I would love to see here on the Kiwi would be for it to come down, test this level, bounce back up, then tomorrow come back down this way. That's what I would love to see. I don't want to see it break now. I don't want to see it breaking now because it would be a bit too early. I want to see it test and then bounce and then come back down and break through. Okay. Then onto the Aussie. This is a little bit more immediate. So went up only this morning did it test come to our entry level, but did not close above. So that trade would not have been triggered. Right now rejecting, looks like it's rejecting that resistance level. Okay. Let me check some levels. We don't need this one. We can take that away. Okay, then what I'm looking at here again from this point up is 23.6 is right there. 38.2 would signal a break of that trend line. Again, this would be a situation where we're looking at some dollar strength scenario. So we're planning in two scenarios here. We're planning in two scenarios here where if the dollar does break to the upside, then we could be looking to sell the Kiwi, we could be looking to sell the Aussie dollar to the downside. Congrats, Jamil. Congrats on the new job. Hope to catch you on the session more even with the job. Okay, So 6580, stop loss 20 pips, take profit 56, 50, 55 pips to the downside would be reasonable. Especially with the CPI news to consider. If we do see that drop from a 5.6 to a 5.2, that is going to signal slowdown in inflation growth. CPI is an inflation growth indicator. A slowdown in inflation growth leading to a pullback in the price, because RBA most likely going to take its foot off the gas in terms of rate hikes. So 6580, 20 to 55. Here we go. Aussie sell 0.6580, stop loss 20, take profit 55. This is the RBA, no, not RBA, CPI data. Well, consider the CPI data. Okay. There we go. All good so far, let me know. Okay, with that, then US yen, I did catch this. I caught this, but I got out a little bit late. I only got out, I think I signaled to you guys in the group that it was testing that 61.8 retracement level, and then it bounced. So I held on to it. I think I only got out about 148.25. about there, right? So I only had about a 30, I think it was a 35 pip move. Yeah, I had a 35 pip move to the downside on the US yen. I told you all yesterday I was super keen on the US yen to the downside. Not very happy that it did not travel all the way down, only finding support at that 38 point or the 61.8 level. Right now, bouncing back up. Right now, finding that support, bouncing back up a little bit. We can take that one away for now because 38.2 is done and dusted. 61.8 still I will hold that still as valid. Dollar pushing up. I'm looking for a rejection back down again. Continuing on with that trend on the yen. So what I'll be looking for in this case, let's check on this whether it's something that we can look at. No, 60, 51 is 50 and 61. Okay, it's at 23.6 right now. Looking for it to bounce back up slightly. Diana missed by 1 pip on 15-minute chart from fair value gap on 149.11. 149.11 was there. Ah, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah, it bounced back up and then turned back down. So I think that bounce. I think you're catching that one. 120. 149.12. About there. Yeah, just missed that before turning back down. I think you're talking about that move, that bounce back up. No worries if you miss a trade. Never feel bad for missing a trade. That's what I always say, because only on hindsight do you feel bad when the trade has made money. If the trade has lost money, then you wouldn't feel, you wouldn't be thinking that, oh great, I missed a trade. So don't feel bad for missing a trade. There's always the next one to come around. What I would be looking out for here on the yen, ideally I want to see it test 148.65. Yeah, Diana doesn't usually trade the yen, so it's a good foray. It's a good foray into the yen. I love trading the US yen. Royal Governor is trying to get it to 147.80. 147. or trying to sell it down to 147.88, which is about there. I think if it clears 61.8, we're going to see big downside potential. What I would like to see is a test, reject, and then a continuation to the downside. So with that, I'm looking at that point there at 148.65. Okay, a rejection of 148.65. Yeah, for sure, Dinah. Send the chart. I think send it on Discord. Yeah. I'll update you on Discord. Send a chart there and I'll comment that on that. Okay. What was I saying? Okay. Test, reject. That's fair move. You can see what happened here. You can see what happened here as well. I'm happy with that. Test, reject. Okay. I'm watching this because now I'm just wondering whether it's going to go all the way and test and reject. It is right now at 23.6. I feel that it could stay within this range or turn back down. The safer option, I'm just trying to finesse this, but the safer option will be 148. Look for it to break 148. You have 20 pips stop loss. You get good 60 pips to the downside. Okay. Then the one that I'm trying to finesse is that if it tests, rejects, you can be looking at 148.50, and then you have a good 12 pips to the downside with a 30 pip stop loss. So it can look like that. So these are the two options that I'm considering on the US yen, just deciding what's going to happen here. I think more likely this scenario. Okay, first ideal setup will be for it to come up to this point and reject, so 148.50 to sell down, and if it doesn't climb as high, look for it to break past that 148 level to sell down. Oops, losing my voice. Okay, so 148.50, 30 to 112. Let's do that one. So yen, 148.50, stop loss 30. Oh, right. So yesterday we were saying there was a hesitation at 148.15 that did happen. Right, it did come down to 148.15 and hesitated. Now bouncing back up, looking for that test and reject to turn back down. And then if it doesn't, we have this next trade lower. Okay, relatively straightforward. Yes, Royal Governor just did the US yen. Gold will be the last one that we'll look at, so just stay tuned. What are you guys laughing about? Jamil just sent, it's true, this missing a trade thing is the reason we enter bad trades to make it up, but now I've learned to stay out and not trade. The video showing us patience made me stay more chilled. Yeah, just chill out, just relax, right? And I always encourage a lot of people to do a video like that, right? It might sound like it's competition for me, but I'm happy if you guys do videos like that. That would mean that you're looking at setups, you're placing your setups there out, you keep to it, you stick to it. This helps massively with your trade planning. Okay, so I would encourage anyone to do that. Maybe don't publish it, maybe just do that, but don't publish it. The more I'm looking at why I'm hesitating is the more I'm looking at the US yen, the more I don't think it's going to do that. But it might just reverse from here back down towards 148. So we'll keep that as an alternate scenario. Then onto the pound dollar. Very disappointed with the pound dollar. It did come down, test and push back up, but it failed to break above that resistance level. Right, it failed to break above that resistance level. Again, remember, said this yesterday that hey, we're all at multi-month high, right? We're not at insignificant levels. We're referring to levels in August. In this pound level was in September, right? So we're multi-month highs, and we're expecting a retrace. We're always going to expect a retrace before possibly a continuation to the upside. So looking at the dollar and still anticipating that downside push. Let me just have a look at that. Nope. Okay, still anticipating a downside push. I would maintain this view on the pound dollar. Okay, so long as it stays above 1.26. Right, so long as it stays above 1.26, 1.2595, I will maintain this view on the pound dollar. Let me just check. Now we can take that one away. That level is fine there. I'll rather catch this. Not bothered about that anymore. Catch this point. If it stays above this, I'll maintain this view on the pound dollar. I think that we can even go a little bit nearer to 1.265020 to 76, maybe even 80 thereabouts. Okay, so we're looking for possibly that push. So 1.2650 20 to 80. Am I right? Yeah. So dollar weakness is going to cause that to push back up. No major pound news. We have the 30-year bond auction. I'm not too worried about that. Yes, Jamil is right. The alternate view is that if it breaks below that last low, right? If it does break below this level, which is that 23.6 level, you can be, this is a bit of a counter trend move, a contrarian view. You can be looking to sell down, right? 1.2585. I'll give it a bit of space. I want it to close below. Very tight stop loss. In this case, you can go for even 15 pip stop. The first level you have is about 35, and then if it continues down, you might even be reasonably looking at about a 60 pip move to the downside if it breaks below this point. Okay, so we do have that option there on the pound dollar if it does break below that point. Jamil is going to be a bit more aggressive to look to buy if it bounces. I think that that's okay if you're going to take a bit of risk, but I would say, you know, the safer one would be for it to break above that resistance. Triple top, I see a double top, a very tight double top. I would like to see it bounce to form a bit of a double bottom to bounce back up. Okay, but good spot there, Jamil. I do tend to identify more trend following scenarios. I really want to highlight more trend following scenarios for all of you guys. The counter trends will be there, but it is going to be a little bit more risky. Okay, we done the pound dollar, yes. Okay, then on to the euro. Euro yesterday, so this is where, like Desiree was saying, you know, where a lot of you guys are saying that chill out, don't worry about if you missed it, look for the right setup. And you see here, this is a perfect example. Yesterday at this point we were saying that the euro dollar has to go up to test this resistance level before selling down. If you were looking at this on the euro, you would say that, oh, it hit my level at 1.0950, and it went down, but it did not go all the way before pushing back up. The first point of the setup did not was not fulfilled, which is that I wanted it to come up to test that resistance level before turning down, which is actually happening right now. Okay, which is happening. You see that if I move that right across, you see that it came up to test that resistance level before now turning back down. Okay, so anyone got onto the euro dollar, do let me know. If you haven't already, might be a little bit late at this point because it's right in the middle of that move. I would say let it go down to this point, but it seems like, well, it's a 12 pip move, so that is reasonable. Okay, if you got into the euro dollar at 1.0950, hold on to that trade. I think there could be further downside, but if you didn't, then 1.0930, oops, stop loss, take profit. We could be looking at a 30 pip move. Stop loss, I would say no. I'll tell you what you should do. We catch this point here, and then it's going to be a tight move. 1.0920. You can look to get in there, right? We're looking at the we're looking at a 1 hour time frame, but you can look to get in there, especially in the next 20 minutes if it closes like that. It's still well within the Bollinger. What I want to see is for it to break to the downside, break below yesterday's low, right? Then you can look to get in 1.0920. You can be even looking at a 10 pip stop and then a 25 pip take. If it pushes lower, you move that to break even and drag that down. You can be riding that down to the downside. And what you would notice here is that this would be a dollar strength scenario kind of trade, but we're looking at that double top scenario. So first top, second top, right? A double top scenario where we can be looking at a retest of the support level here at 1.0853 or 50. So we're looking for that to scale into the trade. Okay, thanks Jim Brown, I appreciate that. So with that, we're looking at, it looks like a lot of it seems to be pointing towards a bit of a dollar recovery, 1.0920. Stop loss 10. I don't normally tell you to do a tight stop at 10, but that looks like it could be doing that with 25. Right, dollar strength scenario. We already know that, so we'll take that away for now. Okay, it all comes down to this box here. What's the price going to do at this or after this box? Reject to turn down or bounce back up? If it rejects and turns down, you can be looking to sell the US yen. You can be looking to buy the pound dollar up. If it breaks up from this trend line, I would focus on looking to sell the euro dollar. The Aussie and the Kiwi, we could be looking at more for tomorrow, especially with the RBNZ and the CPI data to be released. Okay, so that's how I would plan my trades. I would not schedule my trades, but put them in terms of priority of which ones to look at just by that 5. Now then we look into the US Swiss franc, the Swizzy, found a good support here, did not break, take that away. 0.8796 or 8, almost 0.88, bouncing back up, and that's a resistance, a terrible resistance level. Whoops, what did I do? That's a terrible resistance level, and why I say that is because it's right in the middle of all that volatility, of all that bounce around. The last time it was at that point, catching a more relevant level would be, I would consider this whole thing here. I'll consider this whole thing here as a bit of a resistance. Okay, so this is what I mean by resistance. And just to simplify it, it's really just an area that I would do nothing. An area that I would do nothing because it's an area where it's undecided on whether it's going to continue to the upside or retrace back down. So in this case, notice that big downtrend. Okay, resistance there. What I would actually be looking for here would be if it comes up, test and reject. So a scenario like that, right? A test and a reject of that resistance level. Oops, so you can be possibly looking at 8820. I would go all the way down 70. No more than 20. 20 is very generous in this case. Okay, 8820. So again, this is on a dollar weakness scenario. Sell 8820, stop loss 20, take profit 70 to the downside. Okay, because it's bouncing, we look for the rejection to turn back down. Gold we will get to. Right after we do CAD, then we'll get to gold. Okay, yep, I'm happy with that. Any questions so far? Let me know. If it's all good, put it into the chat. Help me out. Put it into the chat. Say it's good. Let me know. And if you haven't already, just a quick reminder, do help me out. Click that little rocket ship button on TradingView. Many of you are watching, not many of you are clicking. And if you're on YouTube as well, do click that thumbs up button. And if you're on trading.live, that hand clappy button as well, please. I would appreciate that super much. Super much. That doesn't make sense. Super a lot. Now, US CAD. All right, US CAD finding a bit of an equal low here. Highlighting, take that away. Highlighting this level here at 1.3593. Right, a bit of an equal low there. It did push down as the dollar weakened a little bit. Now at this point, that's a resistance I'm happy with. Let's change that to a resistance. At this point here, if it does break down, that's not a lot to be moving towards, right? It's only a, thank you for that, Diana. It's only a very small 20 pip move to the downside, so not very keen on that. If it does break, then yeah, you got a massive, looks like we're gonna have a massive drop to the downside. Okay, but looking at the CAD now, I am anticipating possibility for a bounce and then a continuation to the downside. All right, so this might not play out, but what I'm looking for is that move back down. and then for that to break lower. So I would be looking for selling opportunity 1.3630, stop loss about 30 pips would be safe, and then down to 60 pips as the first move. If it does come down to that support, I'll watch out for that support. If it does break, then we've got a big move to the downside. But first off, looking for that bounce to test and reject 1.3630. Thank you for that, Jamil. Really appreciate that. We're looking to sell 1.3630, 30 to 60. 1.36, 30 to 60 on the downside for the US CAD. Okay, quick review, that's dropping, testing the trend line, stay patient. Aussie dollar dropping, again wait for that trend line break. US yen bouncing back up, coming towards an interesting level. Pound dollar dropping, looking, I know Jamil is looking for that 1.292595 level. We're all watching for that same level there. Euro dollar dropping, needs to break. You can see that it's all dropping quite a bit, although the dollar is not moving that much in the scheme of things. Okay, so that's something to watch out for. I think that we might actually see that push up. Okay, let's add in that beyond trend line could rise to 103.60. Okay, so beyond this we get to 103.60. That's fine. That's bouncing back up, looking for a rejection. US CAD still sitting there. Then on to gold. That's what happened on gold yesterday. We were at this point here thinking that if it breaks above, needs to stay above 2007, 2013 could get to 2021. It really tested the levels, right? It really tested, because we were right there. It came right down, tested 2007, stayed above because it did not close below. Could have hammered there and then push right back up above 2013 towards 2018, but did not continue to the upside. Now, given that, I'll take that one away, I'm happy with that. Given that we're seeing some dollar strength come back into play, extending this trend line right up. What I'm actually looking for is a drop, right? Right now at 2013, I do think that it's going to come down to test 2007. So I want to see a reaction at that point. So for gold, what we're looking for here in this case is a retrace to 2007. Look for a reaction. Oh. Look for a bounce. All right, come down, could retrace to 2007. You can do a quick scalp, possibly a scalp to the downside, bounce off this level, and push back up. I wouldn't be too ambitious to even think of 2021. I think that 2018 would be reasonable. And bounce to 2018. Okay, that's what I'll be looking out for. And you can see a bit of a tail, a bit of a possible rejection. We are 5 minutes away from the hour close. It's still within the Bollinger. It's tested, came very close, tested. What I think might happen to be something like that. Right, test, and then turn back down. So we're still looking for that possibility that could sit there and rise towards 2021. But generally, we're looking for a push back up on gold. Alrighty. So with that said, please remember Discord channel link is there for you guys. If you haven't already, do join us on Discord. And if you can, do help me out, click the like and subscribe button. I'll see you on Discord. If not, then I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care now. Bye bye.